My name is Christina Johnson, and I live in New York City currently, in Brooklyn, New York. And I have been in the dance world for over 25 years. I was a professional dancer for 25 years. And now I coach and teach professionals, and I'm a rehearsal director for Armitage. My parents said that I used to dance around the house when I was little and in the garden and in the yard. And people always ask me, I had a 25-year career as a dancer, and people ask me, you know, how did you become a dancer, and did you always want to be a dancer? And I really feel, even though we've heard this before, I really feel like dance chose me. And I never had the consciousness to say, ooh, I want to be a dancer. I didn't envision myself being a ballerina in tutus and pointe shoes. And I just knew that the moment I was put in a ballet class as a start, my parents said, let's try classical ballet and see where that goes. I felt immediately at home. I felt like this was a normal place for me to be, in this studio, in a space where I can explore my body and experience myself. And the rigidity of ballet was never really, it was kind of, that worked for me. I don't know, you know, some people, they get into ballet and it's too confined, and they get into jazz and modern, and somehow that purity, perfectionism, fine, classical something was very congruent with my spirit somehow. Ballet was just always something I did. It was a normal thing. We moved from Massachusetts, and then we moved to Cincinnati, then we moved back. And it was just always understood in my consciousness that I would be taking ballet classes. What I realize today is that my entire life is just a dance. It's just a beautiful, sometimes it's slightly choreographed, but usually it's absolutely not choreographed. And sometimes it's clunky and a little, you know, my partner with life. My life is my partner, and sometimes it's really easeful and fluid and expansive, and sometimes it's constricted, and it's many things. But it's always a dance, and I love that. I moved to New York when I was 19, and I supported myself, and I went on tour, and then I moved to Switzerland for 7 years and performed and worked there. And so my mother is German and my father's African American, so I had that blend of culture, and I always felt very kind of worldly. There was no place I necessarily belonged, and I still, even now, that's not, for many people that may seem like a sad thing, but I have very little attachment in my life. See, that's the other thing. We as artists know comfort is not, the minute you feel comfortable, it's time to move on. Our society looks at that, you know, as a negative thing, I think, but there's a place where kind of, you know, being in this unknown, uncertain, unpredictable, new, unfamiliar place where if you allow yourself to be there and not have the answers necessarily, then things can come to you that you might not have been able to plan for. And if you had planned for it, this could even be more of, you know, a better plan than you had thought. So we constantly have these choices in life, and I think that's like a beautiful pearl to carry, you know, to know that we actually have a choice in how things going to happen, but how you respond, we have a choice in that, you know, even though it doesn't feel like it sometimes. I don't tell a lot of people I'm a life coach because it's kind of become a real buzz profession. Everybody seems to be a life coach these days. And that's fine. I really think we're all life coaches. Some of us are trained and have the title, and you know, we have friends in our lives and family members that we've kind of helped along the way or coached along the way or said certain things that were empowering for them. A life coach for me, what I would describe, you know, there's the therapist. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychotherapist. I don't have those credentials. I've worked in the life coaching arena. There are therapists that have gone through the training that I've gone through, and I've asked them, why are you here? Like, don't you have everything you need? And I found that what they describe as therapy is more about kind of analyzing, looking at your past, family, where you come from, and kind of digging into that. So where you've been. Coaching is more about where you are now and where you want to go, looking at what's keeping you from getting there. Coaching, my training has been that I see the client as naturally creative, resourceful, whole. You don't need to be fixed. You have all the answers. I'm just going to give you little things here and there that are going to help you find your own answers, so that you're more powerfully in your life. Every model around us is crumbling. Nothing's the way it used to be. The business model, the way artistic organizations are run, dance companies, they're struggling. And, like you were talking about, collaborating, between architecture and medicine and arts, and we're not separate. It's a time. This is, it's my notion of coming together, collaborating in a really authentic way, not in just words, and but how can we have a community that's rich in how we're serving each other, and nobody's better than the other just because they're doing this or making this money, or So I just think there's the themes that are. It's natural that we're going to start hearing these themes coming up, especially around women, because women I'm finding, are really stepping into their goddess queen that I think we've just forgotten about, and woo. Like, what can you imagine? Like, the more we like embrace each other as sisters, and really just come together on that. It's just and then what that will mean for our men. Help them be more the gods that they came here to be. Yay.